Order! Order! You are an incorrigible delinquent at times. Behave yourself, man!
I've been going out with a girl, her name is Julie, but last night she said to me when we were watching telly.
John's in Belfast. John, what made you pick up the phone?
Hi there, how you doing?
Hello, I'm good, John. What's on your mind?
I picked up the phone because I was thinking that these guys who carry out these attacks, or even those girls who, you know, go off to become jihadi brides in the Islamic State, that they're almost victims themselves in all of this. I remember you were saying that we should only blame these people who carry out the attacks.
And the people who support and recruit them,
Sure.
are just not anybody
Sure.
who has absolutely nothing to do with them. There's a temptation to lash out at the nearest target, and the nearest target in these sort of cases will be brown and probably wearing a headscarf.
Right, but I would argue that our anger and our blame should be directed not at the individuals themselves, but instead at the ideology that propels them, which is political Islam. You know, these guys aren't actually that interested in, you know, dividing us or causing us to hate. They're pretty much only interested in guaranteeing their place in paradise by dying as a martyr during jihad. And as you were saying, there's a big hole in the heart of this generation and in this culture, I think, where our sense of identity should be. And I guess for two generations, we've been taught to be ashamed of our civilizational inheritance, to be ashamed of being English. You can't be.
I've never been taught. I've never been taught that. Where did you go to school?
Try fly the English flag, and you get all kinds of stuff. Ask a Muslim if they're.
What happened to you, John? When you flew an English flag, who had a go at you? Because we'll go after them on your behalf.
You don't get taught. You don't think we get taught that the empire was evil and that we're just a terrible racist, xenophobic.
I did Byzantium for my history A level. I was looking at Constantinople and the rule of Charlemagne. So when were you taught that the empire was evil? What school were you at?
It's not just the history lessons. It's part of the general culture.
Right. So you've never ever got into trouble for waving an English flag, and you've never ever been taught that the empire is evil.
I've seen it. Well, I have. I've heard it many times from many different people.
Okay, well, they're not. They're wrong. Elements of the empire were bad. Elements were good. John, what point do you think you're making, my friend?
Okay, my point is that when you get this situation where you have that hole in the heart of so many young people, where we've lost Christianity by and large, we've lost patriotism, then don't be surprised.
What was it yesterday? What day?
Let me
no, hang on. I just want to ask you a question, because I agree with you about Christianity. What was yesterday's feast day?
I'm not a Christian.
Pardon?
I'm just saying. What was yesterday's feast day?
You just said we've lost Christianity, as if that's an answer to Islamist terrorism. So tell me what yesterday's feast day was.
Young people, by and large, are not
okay, so let's be clear. You don't know that it was Pentecost yesterday. You've never waved an England flag and got into trouble, and no one's ever taught you that the empire was evil. Mate, you need to get your head... I've lasted for an hour without getting cross with anybody, and I'm not going to get cross with you. I'm going to give you some very, very useful advice. Get your head out your backside, sharpish. Graham is in Claycross in Derbyshire. Graham, what would you like to say?
Morning, James. I don't think having more police, especially community police, would make a lot of difference. For the simple reason that things have changed in this country over the last 10, 15 years, where the streets have got harder and the police have got softer. Whether it's the people taking... the do-gooders who can't do it, can't stop.
Go on, say that again. The do-gooders who what?
The do-gooders where we don't want the police stopping people, we don't want them doing this, we don't want them doing that. And it's just made a situation where there's not a lot of respect. Where I am, there's not a lot of respect for the police. The police can't really do anything.
Well, let's just have a listen to what Peter Kirkham had to say yesterday, the former police commissioner, a very, very senior police officer, because I thought this interview was very interesting.
The police service is in crisis as a result of the cuts. They're being dragged from pillar to post. We hear talk of extra police officers on the street. They're not extra. They're officers that have had their rare leave days cancelled. They've had their 12-hour shifts that are now done routinely extended to 16 hours. They're being drawn from other areas. The officers we see behind us are from Kingston, from Hounslow and Hillingdon. They're not extra officers at all. I heard her speech and she raised 4 things that needed to change. She missed the most obvious, urgent one, which is to deal with the cuts to ordinary policing. Yes, all those other things that she said, long-term impacts and all the rest of it, yes, they're all valid. But what needs to be done, and it needs to be done immediately, is reverse and stop and reverse the cuts to ordinary policing. They're needed in intelligence gathering from communities. They're needed in monitoring those 23,000 very low-level people that are, inverted commas, known to the police and security services in their community.
There's a former Chief Inspector with the Metropolitan Police, Peter Kirkham, and every copper I've had on the programme agrees with him, Graham, but you don't.
I don't know. I don't. It's what you see when you're here. You know.
Well, I think the police probably base their opinions on what they see when they're out being policed.
Yeah, quite happily. Yeah. I mean, as I say, I only go on what I say. I live in it's a little villagey town. It's not London. It's not Manchester. I think my experience of the police, if he was to ring them, I mean, 8 minutes, he probably wouldn't see them in 8 days. But
you rung up to tell me that you don't think we need more police, and now you're telling me that you'd have to wait 8 days to see one.
I don't think there's enough respect of people going to a police officer and saying, I think there's a problem here. I don't think there's that respect out there now for them. I think they've lost, you know.
So bearing in mind that, your little village in Derbyshire, you don't have anything to do with the police, where are you getting the idea that there's some sort of... Because you must be you're getting it from media reports, or because you're not getting it from the evidence of your own eyes?
I had an incident with the police where I called them, and to be honest with you, very, very unhelpful. In fact, I never saw a policeman. It was somebody on the phone.
Right, and that means that if you had suspicions about a terrorist nearby, you wouldn't tell them because they didn't...
I would ring up and tell them, of course I would. Yeah, I would ring up and say...
So where are you getting the idea that they're so disrespected nationally that people won't go to them with information? Because I don't understand what you think you're saying.
On the street, they see a policeman walk past and they'll start sort of, I don't know, having a go at him or...
What, in rural Derbyshire?
Yeah, it happens. Yeah, it's if you wanted a police officer, they wouldn't turn up for 8 days, but they get routinely abused in the street all the time. But when you do phone on for something, they don't sort of come straight away.
So because you phoned up the police and they were too busy to give you the respect and the treatment that you feel that they deserved, you've decided to ring me and tell me that the police force is in a state of national decline, and it's completely lost the respect of the community.
I think it has.
God bless you.
I know he's a moron.